let's do something a little different. Let's go through super investor portfolios. This website, it's called Value Cider. So value, V-A-L-U-E, cider, S-I-D-E-R.com. And it lists the super investor portfolios. Of course, number one is Warren Buffett, $258 billion. Let's take a look at their portfolios, see if we can see some correlation. If you buy or sell a big chunk of a company, you're supposed to report that buy or sell with the SEC. That's how they get this information. You could click on the link portfolio and sort it by size. Warren Buffett, $258 billion. VD Dodge, $112 billion. You see Bill and Melinda Gates, $41 billion. This shows you when it was last updated and the number of stocks in the portfolio. And if you scroll down, it does get smaller and smaller. Still pretty big portfolios. Michael Berry, $13 million. Only one stock. What stock is that? Estee Lauder. Ticker EL. That's 100% of this portfolio. He probably has many portfolios. This is just one of them. If there's an investor you really respect, like Charlie Munger, who we know has passed, you can just follow their buys and sells. Let's see what's in Warren Buffett's portfolio. 36 stocks. What is Warren Buffett's portfolio? Well, it's 36 security holdings, according to SEC 13F, with a value of $259 billion. The top 5 holdings are Apple, which is 26%, Amex 16%, Coca-Cola 11%, B of A 10%, Chevron 8%. We know he's been selling a lot of Apple the past few quarters. And this is sorted by ticker, but you can just click on percent of portfolio, and this lists the biggest percentage. Still, Apple is number one at 26% of his portfolio. 300 million shares. The reported price for Apple is $222. It's probably a good idea to go to Yahoo Finance and check the latest price. It's down to $197. So that website needs to be updated. I'm surprised there's not an API plugin to update this automatically. It looks like this was last updated May 15th, so about a month ago. Okay, right here. Here's the current price, $197. So there is an API. I wonder what reported price is. They start right here. Let's see if we find that footnote. Right here, they define reported price. This does not represent the actual buy or sell price. It is a split adjusted price of the security as of the last day of the reporting period. Okay, so I would focus on this column, the actual price. His second biggest holdings is Amex. That's currently trading at $291. The value of his Amex is $41 billion. Then you have Coca-Cola. He receives a lot of dividends on Coca-Cola, $29 billion. He still owns 325 million shares of Kraft Heinz. That stock has really been struggling. Let's go to Simply Wall Street to look it up. I like this website better. It's a lot faster than Yahoo Finance. The way I think of the ticker for Kraft Heinz, you know KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken? I think of KFC, but it's KHC. So KHC is a ticker. You can see the stock was a lot higher in 2016. It was over $90 a share. In 2017, that was the peak, $93.44. And then it came way down and during COVID, down to $20. And it hasn't come up that much since the bottom. It did run up to the low 40s, but now it's coming back down. So the stock has really struggled. I wonder why it struggled so much. Let's look at their revenue. In 2014, it was $11 billion. By 2016, it went up to $27 billion. So it's a pretty nice jump, but it has been flat since then. $27 billion in 2016. $25 billion in 2025. So revenue hasn't really increased too much. So in 9 years, it's pretty much flat. Let's see their free cash flow. So their free cash flow is up and down. It did peak in 2021 at $4.8 billion. It came down in 2023 to $1.5 billion. So it looks like the company is not really growing much. So that's probably a big reason the stock has come down. He owns Amazon, 10 million shares of Amazon. You could click on Amazon, and if you want to get more information. So when you click on Amazon, it shows you what super investors hold it. Christopher Davis owns 220,000 shares. Let's sort by shares. David Pollan, he owns almost 18 million shares. Here's Buffett right here, 10 million shares. And this is the percent of the portfolio for these investors. So almost 20% of Mark Massey's portfolio is Amazon. And his company is Altarock Partners. Let's click on that. Here's Altarock Partners. Let's sort by percent of portfolio. So TransDigm is his biggest at 27%. Amazon is second. Microsoft is almost identical in terms of percent of portfolio, 19.5%. He owns 2.6 million shares of Microsoft. And yesterday, Microsoft hit its all-time high. It's trading at $4.77. Here's Microsoft's stock price historically. It was under $1, stock split adjusted in 1990. Obviously, it wasn't under $1 in 1990. It's probably like $30, $40. And look, in 2000, it ran up to 51. But you think a company as great as Microsoft, you'd make a ton of money. But if you bought it in 2000, after 15 years, you'd be flat. So if you sold any time between 2000 and 2015, you would have lost money. So you could have lost 50% of your investment by holding Microsoft for, say, a decade, which sounds crazy, but that's how the market is. You got to hold long term. You will get paid off. It just takes time. And people don't understand that. I've had many friends or family members ask me for stock advice. I give it to them, and sometimes they lose money, and they say, you don't know what you're talking about. I bought this stock. I held it for 3 years. I still lost money. I remember buying Berkshire Hathaway stock, and after a few years, I wasn't doing that well. But now it's really paid off. I just don't know how the market's going to do short term. I do know how it's going to do long term, though. But look how it took off, starting in like 2015. This is what people do sometimes. Like they'll buy it up here when it's $50, $60. They'll take the loss and they'll curse Microsoft. And then people like me will be laughing when Microsoft goes up to $300 a share because I made a ton of money and they sold it. And then they buy back in at $300. And once again, they're down 30, 40, 50%. And they curse Microsoft because they waited a couple of years and they lost money. And then they sell at a loss. And people like me buy when there's a pullback and wait it out and make a ton of money. That's why most people lose money in the stock market. Like 90% of people don't make money. It's the 10% that make money that drag up the average. Let's see who owns Microsoft, which super investors. Let's sort by percent of portfolio. Robert Carr has 36% of his portfolio in Microsoft. Bill and Melinda Gates own Microsoft. Not much of a surprise there since Bill started Microsoft. In the beginning, Bill Gates owned half of Microsoft. If he didn't sell off his stock throughout the years, he would have been the first trillionaire. But now he's not worth that much, only a couple $100 billion. Let's see what's in their portfolio. So 1/4 of their portfolio is Microsoft, which makes sense. Berkshire Hathaway is 22% of their portfolio. The rich help out the rich. So his portfolio is worth $41 billion. Half of it is in 2 stocks. Sometimes diversification doesn't really work if you're diversifying away all your good investments. If there's a stock you feel real comfortable in, then just pile money into it. And we could look at the portfolio over time. This is as of Q1 2025, but we can go back. We can go way back to 2013. Back in 2013, half his portfolio was in Berkshire Hathaway. It looks like he didn't have any Microsoft. It looks like he's done really well on this stock. The price back then was $112. It's currently trading at $488. Like Warren, he owns a lot of Coca-Cola. He also owns McDonald's, Caterpillar. He owns more Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola FEMSA. If you're not sure what Coca-Cola FEMSA is, you can Google it. That's the Mexican arm of Coca-Cola. The headquarters for this company is in Mexico City. FEMSA owns 48% of this company, and Coca-Cola owns 28%. FEMSA is the largest bottler of Coca-Cola in the world. This entity actually bottles the cola because most of Coca-Cola's sales are not selling soft drinks. It's selling the syrup, the ingredients for a company like this to bottle it and then sell the cola to the retail stores so they can sell it to us, the end user. I know Bill Gates likes waste management. This is one of his favorite investments. Let's click on waste management. Only 2 super investors own it, Jensen and Bill. You can go through this list of super investors, pick out one you really like, maybe like Bill Ackman, and see what he buys. 18% of his portfolio is Uber, Brookfield, the real estate developer. He only owns 11 stocks. Like I said, you don't need a ton of stocks. You can make money with just a handful. But if you're not sure what to invest in, you could just put your money in the S&P 500 and let it ride. Let's look at Uber. So you have 7 super investors that own Uber. David Tepper owns 3.2 million shares. You can see who owned Uber way back in 2019. So 3 super investors owned it. You can click on the ownership history chart. Here's a pretty cool graph. It shows you over time the ownership. Here's 2019, and it shows you the percent ownership in these super investors. And now 2020. So if somebody bought it in 2020, they would pop up on this list. Here we go. Quincy Lee, 2% of his portfolio. And you can see if somebody starts selling off, the line goes down or falls off the list. David Tepper bought it in 2021. Quincy Lee, 5% of his portfolio. Here's 2022. David Tepper is buying a lot in 2022. Quincy Lee looks like he keeps buying. Now we're ending 2022. Here's 2023. David Tepper is buying a lot. Robert Carr, almost 4%. Robert Carr, over 10%. Now we're getting close to 2024. He has 2024. Chuck Aker is added to the list. Robert Carr, 13%. It's a pretty cool graph, right? Bill Ackman's buying a lot of Uber in 2025. Let's look at the same chart for NVIDIA. Let's see who was smart enough to buy NVIDIA back in 2013 and still hold it. So let's click the play button. In 2014, only Marty Whitman, 1.2%. It is playing, but just nobody's buying NVIDIA. 2014 Q4. 2015, Robert Olstein. So if somebody's buying it back in 2015, maybe we should follow this investor. They're pretty smart. But he sold it. John Armitage, 1.5%, 2% of his portfolio. That's in 2016. If these people are so smart, why did they not buy NVIDIA? Why did they wait for everybody else to buy it? David Tepper in 2018, but he sold it. Stephen Mandel, 2018. David Pollan. So if they bought it, that's great, but they shouldn't have sold it. A lot of them sold it since they fall off the list. C.T. Fitzpatrick, 5%. Wow. 6% of his portfolio. This is 2020. Let's see, in 2020, C.T. Fitzpatrick. He sold it though. Andrew Adams, 4% of his portfolio, 2020. C.T. Fitzpatrick bought back in. This is 2021, 4% of his portfolio, but he's selling off. Andrew Adams, 4%. He sold off though. Still not many buyers, and it's 2022. I guess these super investors aren't so super after all. 2023, now we got some more buyers. Look at all the people jumping in 2023. Bill Gates, fourth quarter 2023. Tepper, 2024. Andrew Adams. We're getting to the end of 2024. Still not that many buyers of NVIDIA. A lot of people jumping in the first quarter of 2025. Too little, too late. These are the top 10 most owned names. Microsoft is in 40 portfolios. So almost everybody owns Microsoft. Then you have Google, Amazon, Visa, Meta, Berkshire. Let's look at the chart for Berkshire. We'll go to ownership history chart. In 2013, Bill Gates, 47% of his portfolio. Bill Gates, about half his portfolio. He'll be on top for a long time. And we could see other people buying in. Christopher Bloomstrand, Francois Rochon, Bruce Berkowitz, 0.5%. This is 2015. Mark Massey is buying into it. Okay, he fell off. I guess he sold out. Over 20% right here. Guy Spire, 14.5%. This is in 2017. And the portfolios own a total of 15 billion of the stock. Harry Byrne, 3%. We're getting close to the end of 2018. Bill Gates is still over 50%. Bill Ackman is buying into it a lot in 2019. Chuck Aker at the bottom. This is one of my better performing stocks. I'm up about 200%. I bought into it in 2017. I don't plan on selling it. Glenn Greenberg. Li Lu jumps up pretty quickly. So you can see people buy in and out of the stock a lot. Bill Gates pretty much held on. That's what you have to do, buy and hold. I'm surprised there's so much selling activity with these people. Bill Gates sold off. Bill Gates and Christopher Bloomstrand. Look at Paul Lancis. He fell off. So it looks like people buy in and sell pretty quickly. Here's 2024, 11 billion. Bill Gates, 19, 20%. Guy Spire. Paul Lancis, he jumps way up, then sells off, then buys back. And here's a snapshot as of Q1 2025. 13 billion value. Paul Lancis is 27% of his portfolio. Guy Spire is 1/4 of its portfolio. Paul Lancis Asset Management. Let's look at his portfolio. So, of course, his biggest holding is Berkshire, 27%. This is as of the current quarter. We can look at his portfolio over time. So this starts with 2020. I guess that's the first time this website has tracked his portfolio. Q2 2020. Berkshire is number 1. Then Progressive. Let's click the play button. We'll see how his portfolio moved the past 5 years. Oracle went up a lot yesterday. Applied Materials, 10%. We're in 2021. Wells Fargo, 8%. Berkshire is always number 1. Brown & Brown. Google, 3.5% of his portfolio. Progressive, Wells Fargo. There's so many stocks you can make money on. There's not one way to do it. There's many ways to do it. US Bank, 6% of his portfolio. He's buying Oracle. We're in 2024. KKR. And you can see how it moves a lot. Berkshire is always number 1. The others just move up and down. And here's a snapshot currently. Berkshire, 27%. Then Progressive, Applied Materials, Wells Fargo, IDEXX Laboratories, ticker IDXX. And you could do a deep dive in any of these tickers. So let's look at this company, IDXX. They develop, manufacture, and distribute products in animal veterinary, livestock and poultry, dairy, and water testing. It's a 42 billion market cap company, trading at $5.27. Let's see where the stock has moved over time. So it's done really well. You could have got it well below $1. That's stock split adjusted. The peak was in 2021, close to 700. It has not gotten to that point again. So it looks like there could be a lot of upside potential for this stock because it's still trading 20 or 30% below its all-time high. So I thought this was fun, something a little different. Let me know what you think of this process. Should I do more videos like this? Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.